Okay, so there's been some talk lately that Marvel is somewhat struggling to find a main leading character for the MCU, and I think that's just a load of
shit. Language.
While I can understand not having RDJ as Iron Man or Chris Evans as Captain America, I think the MCU is in a good spot right now. Look to the future. We have the Fantastic Four, whose cast just got announced, and we haven't really even touched the full potential, even the beginning of the X-Men. People seem to forget that the X-Men were more popular than the Avengers before these movies came out. And in this video, I'm going to talk about one of the main, if not the main X-Men character that most people are familiar with, and that's Wolverine. We've seen Wolverine in plenty of films, including the X-Men original films, the Wolverine spin-off films, Logan, and of course the upcoming Deadpool and Wolverine film that is set in the MCU. And while I'm not 100% sure on how that movie is going to tackle bringing Wolverine, let alone Deadpool as well, into the MCU, I don't think that Wolverine himself being played by Hugh Jackman is something that's going to be permanent. I think there's going to be a new actor for Wolverine, and I can definitely see Hugh Jackman passing the torch on to somebody new for the next 10 years of the MCU. I promise I didn't mean to make that rhyme. While this video is not about who I think should be cast in this role, it's going to be about what Marvel should do, in my opinion, with this character. We're all familiar by now with the format of Disney Plus shows and Marvel Studios mainline movies. Over the past couple years, we've seen some dilution between the two, with having the shows kind of making the movies less impactful and vice versa. People seem to think that Disney Plus has diluted the MCU so much that we care less about the films, but I think we just need to tell better stories, and I think Marvel has been doing that. And it's in Disney Plus where I think one of the biggest characters could really shine. You may call me crazy, but just hear me out on this. Wolverine himself, played by Hugh Jackman, has popped up in at least 7 X-Men films, and some of those films have issues with continuity. Things are constantly getting retconned and changed, and especially in regards to the story of Logan, Wolverine. It's kind of hard to tell the story of a man who's been alive for hundreds of years in the span of an hour and a half to 2.5 hour film. X-Men Origins tried to do this, and I actually just watched that movie again, and I actually really enjoyed it. No, it's not perfect, and the ending is just atrocious with Deadpool and things like that, but the beginning really got me thinking. The beginning of this movie shows Wolverine going through the past with Sabretooth. They fight in the Civil War, World War I, World War II, the Vietnam War. Logan has been alive through so many main events in history, and in this film, we only get to touch on that for a couple minutes max. I was recently researching the best way to read Wolverine in the comics, and it got confusing really quick. Now, I love Marvel Comics, but Wolverine is a character that's kind of hard to jump into. Why? Well, because there's just so many different jumping off points and timelines and different eras, because this guy has been alive forever. We get stuff with Wolverine in the past, we get stuff in the present day with the X-Men, and of course we get the old man Logan storyline in the future. There's just so many stories to tell, and I think the format of film may just be too limited, for lack of a better term, to tell all of these stories and keep us interested. We're about to go into the 5th Thor film, and the 4th one didn't really do much for me, so I'm hoping the 5th one amps it up and gets me back involved like Ragnarok did, and I don't want the same thing to kind of happen with any other characters. Likewise with Captain America 4, we have a new Captain America now, and they're kind of struggling to tell a story about Red Hulk fighting Captain America, which seems like a pretty simple concept in my mind. But with that being said, they are struggling writing this movie, and it's been through many reshoots and is going to be going through more. That's why I think the best way to adapt such a convoluted character such as Wolverine with such a rich history full of tons of characters would be to do a actual show on Disney Plus. Now I say actual show because some Disney Plus shows are limited series. You know, the whole 6-episode event thing. Everyone is just so tired of that, and luckily with Daredevil Born Again, it seems like we're getting more than just 6 episodes, possibly even a dozen. But I think Wolverine would adapt so well with a TV show that has 12 to 15 episodes per season, starting off in the very past with his origin. Yes, it's set in the MCU, and you can have Logan even interact with some of these characters very briefly, but having Wolverine be present in the MCU all along would just be wild. And I think the only way to tell as many stories as you can with such a convoluted character is to go through as many seasons of TV as possible, and maybe even do like a film for a big event such as Weapon X, which is when Wolverine gets his adamantium claws. With Marvel introducing the mutants, I think it would be a great idea to have a show about Wolverine where we're interacting with other mutants in the MCU just coming into their powers. Because one of the biggest things with Wolverine is just him interacting with the X-Men, with other Marvel heroes, them butting heads, them working together, and all of the different organizations that he goes up against. Give me like 5 to 8 seasons of a Wolverine show where he completely changes character per season. We can get a season with Patch Logan, we can get a season with X-Men Logan, we can get a season with Old Man Logan, all while telling great stories, introducing more X-Men, and leaving the big events for the film. This seems like a really cool idea in my head, and I feel like it would just translate a lot better than what they've tried to do with the movies in the past. So yeah, you can keep Hugh Jackman's Wolverine in the big movies because he's very popular and very famous for that role already, but simultaneously, if he hands off the torch to somebody, let them build up their legacy from the ground up, telling a complete chronological story from the start of his life to the end of it. I mean, I feel like that would just be Marvel printing money for themselves. Personally, I think that would be a great thing, and I would love to watch it. Let this show breathe, give it time to develop with characters, be mature, be that R-rated show that Disney Plus possibly could need. I feel like a lot of people would be into that, and if you're personally not into it and you want movies or something else entirely, let me know down in the comments. I just thought I'd make a video about this because I thought about it while watching the X-Men Origins movie and realized they rush things so fast. I want to know more about the relationship between Wolverine and Sabretooth, them growing up in wars together, the Weapon X program, and all of that, but then by the time I'm interested in those things, the movie's basically over. Again, leave your comments down below if you think this is a good idea, a bad idea, or what your idea is for introducing Wolverine into the MCU, and I will see you all very soon for the Bad Batch episode 4 tomorrow.